Welcome to the Spinfoil Theory Podcast. Each week we sit down and discuss our favorite lore topics from within the Destiny universe. Specifically, we intend to take a close look at a specific question that has been nagging us and potentially the Destiny community as a whole. To fulfill that, our discussions tend to assume that you already have some background in the Destiny lore. Despite that, our goal is to be as lighthearted and welcoming to everyone as possible. With that out of the way, let's dive into this week's topic.
So, welcome to the show, everyone. This is a very fun topic, sort of special episode for us. I think I'm going to call this the off-topic series, Bags. I think
yeah, that seems about right. Yeah,
you can kind of definitely off-topic. I don't know if it's entitled the Spinfoil, but we can definitely come up with like theories and conspiracies as we see fit throughout the series. That's our prerogative, though. We can decide how on rails we want to keep this program, or if we want to be freeform. We have our very special guest, Grace, Night Stalker, here with us. How are you?
Hanging in there, you know how it is these days. I'm
All
here.
right.
I'm thriving.
I love it.
As best as one can.
I mean, it took you had me in the first half, but then once you went to thriving, I was like, okay. This is gonna
Yeah,
be,
maybe
this
we're
is
stretching the truth a little bit.
Oh no.
Do our best.
Oh, no. Okay.
I mean, I as somewhat of an introvert, I'm doing pretty well myself. Thriving isn't too far from it, I feel like.
Bagels is in his prime. He's got
He's like chilling in a silk robe in front of a fire, swirling a glass of wine.
It's actually like Bagels owns a collection of smoking jackets. I don't know if you knew this about Bagels.
I didn't. Oh my god.
He has.
Oh god.
He has 3 servants. I only am aware of 1.
What's that even mean?
It's just I'm adding to the mystery. We've got.
Are these my tiny servants from the campaign yet to be played?
I mean, who's to say? But it's a good thing you bring up tiny servants, because that's our off-topic theme tonight. Strictly tiny servants, the spell from D&D 5th edition. No, it's we're here to talk about Dungeons and Dragons. I guess specifically 5th Ed, and we're here to sort of like share some stories and personal insights that we would want to tell someone who's maybe thinking about trying out D&D or tabletop gaming in general for the first time. So, like, if you guys have played, like, any other tabletop game, like, I know there's White Wolf, Warhammer, like, what have you out there, like, that is totally game for the conversation. And, I mean, I think it would be ironic if I got mad at people for getting off topic in an off-topic show.
Right.
So, seriously, like, anything is game. But yeah, we thought we would do this. What sort of started the conversation is, and we'll give some more information this about at the end of the cast. But Grace is hosting a bunch of one-shots to try and sort of like open the doors to D&D for people, and that got she and I talking. And then, like, as you know, Bagels and I are connected at the shoulder. It's not the hip; it's the shoulder.
Oh god.
Yeah.
How do you control it? How do you control the
shoulder?
Jaeger?
The Jaeger? Oh, it's actually like pretty easy at that point, and like 3-legged races, like done. Like we're that in sync.
Gosh, I wish I had that connection.
We needed the 3-legged Jaeger though. That was the one caveat.
Oh no.
Yeah. That's in the 3rd movie. That's why it has 3 legs.
Oh god, no! Please let it end it too. Please.
Oh no, dude, those are so campy and fun. If Godzilla can have like 9 bajillion movies, let the Jaegers do their thing.
But have you seen the second one though?
Yeah, I mean.
I'm so sorry.
I like John Boyega. I thought it was good. I don't know what anyone was expecting from a giant monster robot fighting movie. Maybe I just had different expectations. Maybe my expectations were met. So I don't.
Well, that's fair.
I don't know what to tell anyone. Like,
opinions,
I
respect that.
They were those. So,
They were definitely opinions.
I mean, I just don't know, like, alright, so I feel like when you go into that movie and you're like, oh man, like, the acting was bad, like, I mean, you went into a giant robot fighting monsters movie for the acting? Oh, but like, I have these standards for script and stuff like this, but did the robots fight the giant monsters? Like, and I mean, like, they're huge, like, they can walk in the ocean. Well, yeah, like, they did that, like, okay, so, like, in my view, the movie really delivered on everything it promised me. Like, it's just...
I don't know. We're talking about D&D. I can go off on a literal full hour tangent about Pacific Rim and why the sequel shouldn't have existed.
I will. All right, that's our next off topic. Scribe.
I am down for talking about giant monsters and kaiju.
Yeah,
and
no, this can. I will have a series on giant robots. Don't even try me. I will. Yeah. Yeah, why was there never a second Nadesco movie? It's funny you want to bring that up.
Oh, God.
Okay. We're here to talk about D&D.
One-shots, right? That's the thing I'm doing?
Well, that's the thing you're doing, and that got us talking, and so we thought it would be a lot of fun to sort of maybe do a show about it, because I think all three of us are sort of coming at it from different places and different experience levels. And I think it'll offer a lot of different perspectives for maybe anyone who's trying it. Maybe they'll. I mean, even if you figure out that it's not for you, like, hopefully this helps. So, all right. I guess Grace. Let's start with. All right. So when you're building a character, where do you start, and is this how you built your first character? Is it something like you did from the beginning, or is it something you kind of learned the hard way that you like as your like style of build?
Because the artist and character designer in me likes to go visual, I always start with like a look for a character. So I typically pick the race before I pick the class, and I just build more of a person before I look into like the other like nitty-gritty things that will help you build your stats. So like when I built my first character, this was even before I actually like enjoyed and like wanted to try playing D&D, because my first adventure in D&D was back when Skype was still a thing, and I might have been a freshman in college, I think. No, wait. I was either freshman or sophomore in college.
I mean, when you're surfing those dangerous Skype waves, like I feel like college is the place to be. That's no country for old men.
Or maybe I might have been in high school. I don't know. I just remember visually some things of when I tried it out for the first time. But I think I chose to the character I have right now is the one I made the first time, like go through. He had a different patron, different things like that, and he was more of a jokey character, and I think we played like 1 or 2 sessions, and then our DM was like, I'm a bounce, and we never heard from him again. So that was it. And I was like, well, D&D's maybe not for me, I don't like this. And then I got into Critical Role during the Briarwood arc, which was like the first, like maybe I can't remember how many episodes in it was, but it was during like their Vox Machina days. And then I was like, man, I just want to make D&D characters. Like, I don't think I even want to. It would be cool to play, but I don't know anybody else that plays, kind of thing. So I was like, I'll just make, maybe I'll try and delve deeper into making characters. And so I just kind of absorbed the source material for 5e and just read what I could. It still didn't really make sense to me because I'm more of I've got to do it to understand.
Sure.
So when I got invited to a game, which is the one I play currently, I like actually created a character. Like Armir had a proper sheet, and so I mean that's kind of how I've always done it. Is, man, it would be cool to be a tiefling warlock. It'd be cool to be an Earth Ganassi barbarian, and then I just go from there and I design the character. And if I have to make a character, like if I actually plan on playing them, then I'll make the character sheet and stuff. But it's usually just me making original characters based off of the source material. So Yeah, that's kind of my process.
I can dig it. For me, it's I tend to start with class, so I tend to find the sort of how should I say this, the sort of like class that I'm excited to play for that game. And admittedly, I haven't tried every class that I'm excited for. We'll get to this later. I don't want to dive into that right now. But I learned back. I'm a little bit older than you, but so I learned back in 3.5 was.
Wow.
So yeah, I just dated myself. So, so I learned back in 3.5, and over the years, that was where I played probably the longest campaigns that I ever had. And 3.5 was, you could do some silly stuff, but it there was a lot you could do, and there were a lot of like little rules where you could do stuff, but it could get pretty complicated. Sure. Especially as you got like higher levels, and I don't think there was like a proper level cap. I think you could just keep going.
Oh.
Yeah, no, it could get silly. It just yeah. And then there's other stuff that's based off 3.5. I've tried second edition, which second edition was interesting. I guess coming from 3.5, the whole FACO thing just, like, never really clicked with me. I always had to ask my friend, like, if it hit or not. I was like, yeah, so, yeah? No. Oh, okay, alright. So, there's a bit of that, and then I tried first edition once, and honestly, like AD&D, and I tried that at a con, I think, and that is, like... So even in the stance of like you just have like a few hours at this con for like a day that you're playing, characters died. Like it's less that you're RPing, it's more that you like have a chess piece with a backstory if you want. Mm-hmm. That has like that can grow like as it moves across the board, and like that was really interesting. So I think coming from that standpoint, like I never tried 4th edition. I heard that was a lot of math. But which I'm glad I dodged a bullet there. But yeah. No, if you like 4th edition, you're listening to this. No hard feelings. I never even tried it, so it might be great. I start with the build, and then I kind of so like most recently when I came back to 5th edition, which I'm really liking. I started with the class, and then like as I was building my character, I sort of fleshed out the parts of them to sort of like fit the job within the class that I had chosen. So for me, it was I guess maybe like a little bit like sort of different end of the spectrum, or at the spectrum from where you started from. Like you kind of started with the character and then built the character sheet around that, whereas I kind of started with with like the utility of the character and then fleshed out the like the RP aspect from that end. But that's, yeah, so I guess that's two different takes. Bagels, how about you, buddy?
Yeah. So I'm a lot newer to D&D than both of you. My first sessions started actually with Taylor earlier this year, pretty much when COVID hit. Some of our Destiny friends got together and we decided that we're gonna play a D&D session online. And so we started up in Roll20. And I mean, I'd read through the player's handbook at this point before basically walking into character creation, and that was basically it. I've played RPGs in the past and that sort of jazz, so I have a pretty good idea on just like mechanically creating a character, but creating a backstory was entirely different. And so it was more so like I put a physical character together, added the stats together, and then over time, I've kind of gradually filled out the role of the backstory and the rest of the just like just the bio, basically the core character features and
yeah, like the traits and the flaws and like all the little like exactly. Quirks of your character. That's one thing I really liked about 5e. And I think we had the benefit, Bagels, when we were coming in of there's a supplemental book for the player's handbook called Xanathar's Guide to Everything. And what I like about it is it doesn't so much change the rules, it just like gives you more ideas for your background. It's like, oh, like, maybe your character has a rival, or, like, maybe your character had a benefactor, or, like, maybe you're an outlaw in this country because they hate mayonnaise. Like, it could be anything. And yeah.
Yeah, and that's in my mind, that's part of the fun of D&D. Like, 5e obviously comes with a whole bunch of host backgrounds that you can just use, basically custom made or pre-made for you. But in my opinion, part of the fun of D&D is coming up with like the just kind of if not outright filling in the gaps of those little parts that the player's handbook gives to you or Xanathar's gives to you. The part of the fun is often just kind of making it up as you go and saying, hey, this seems to fit the character more so than that. That's part of what it is. It's a role-playing game. It's less so about the mechanical aspects, in my opinion, and more so just about playing into your character and fitting in with the rest of your party. That's kind of what I'm doing. So,
and, for example, like you said, the background and the backstory is a little tricky to deal with at first, but you can always add more as your campaign goes on because your characters and your party are going to experience different things. The lore and the overarching story is going to start to kind of come to light as your DM, pulls you through the world. So, like, for example, our mirror didn't have the big extensive background that he does currently because at first I was like, yeah, here's his family. This is the gist of what happened and why he's here. And that's about it. But finding out more lore about the world and other NPCs, it starts to kind of fill in the missing puzzle pieces. And that's what makes like D&D so much fun, is because it also like helps you like learn how to build big backstories, out of sometimes nothing. So
and honestly, like sometimes just to add to that, it's also like the little things you decide about your character, like as you go. Like, oh man, you've got this, like, these island people that you helped, like, don't have a lot in their kingdom right now after the dragon's devastation. But here, have this feast of bananas. And you'd be like, actually, man, I'm allergic to bananas. Can't do it. That's not in your backstory. He didn't encounter it, like, it didn't come up. But, like, yeah, no, I just decided right now. It's like, it's like, I think Norm Macdonald has a stand-up about this, but, like, in real life sometimes how, like, you'll lie for no reason just for the sake of conversation. You'll just be like, someone will ask you like, hey, like, this? Because like you can tell they want to tell you a story and you just want to, it's like, oh yeah, sure. Like stuff like that, like little stuff like that. It's like, why did I just lie about that? I have no clue what this is. Like, and now we're talking about law? Like, what? Like, what is this? So like that type of stuff, it's like that, but I feel like there's no consequence because now it can be the truth for you because you're role playing.
You can become part of your character. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's like those little impulses that you have just to like spice things up or make your own time more interesting. They can count now. Like you can't you can't go like contradicting yourself, but like if it seems like it's like fun in the moment, you'd be like, actually, I hate the color puce. I'm a very keen eye. I can tell if it's not puce exactly, so don't worry. But
the man who
Lord,
killed my mother was wearing a puce cape.
Yeah. I see you have
So
a
I
puce
hate the
cape.
color.
I see. It's a very...
Yeah, what color is his cape? I need to know for extensive backstory reasons.
It appears to be... I'm not sure how to pronounce this. The cape appears to be magenta. It's...
Oh my god.
Oh, fuck is magenta?
I think he's trying to say magenta. That's oh, okay. It's not puce. All right, we're fine.
It's so pretentious. It's magenta.
That's right. But I personally love stuff like that, and I try not to have. Well, I guess I do try to have like joke characters, but I have them try to be like jokes that you have to like go through with a straight face, so it becomes like more entertaining. So like what is it? My character in the campaign with Bagels, his name is Thomas Pusher, and the joke is where he's from, his bully a halfling named Gary Shitter basically made it so everyone calls, like, euphemistically, like, a poop, like, instead of a shit, they call it a push. It was like a thing he started to make fun of Thomas. And I try to add little quirks about it because, like, everyone from his town does it, and, like, by everyone I mean even Thomas will do it by accident. He'll say it. So it's I mean that's really fun for me. Clearly, like, it didn't land here, but that's I like adding little jokes for myself as I go along too. That's sort of fun for me.
There's so many things about my current PC that are just they're so ingrained in, like, inside jokes within our party that it's hard to have them translate to anybody who's never played with us. And it's just like those are the moments I love, though, is because, you know, they get referenced again later in the campaign or, like, in another moment, and it's just those things that stick. And I don't know, that's why I love those little things too. So
Bagelz is the bard in our campaign.
What kind of bard? Do you sing songs? Do you tell poems? What kind of bard?
I definitely just pop out music just randomly.
He does a lot of posing.
It's true.
I see.
I take on my magnificent appearance all the time to inspire the party. But more so than that, yeah, it's we've got a Dragonborn in our party, and he doesn't know he's that. He thinks he's a wood elf.
Yeah. Excuse me?
He rolled his shout out to Damien. We're talking about Dadan here. His character Dadan, when he was getting created, he had like a bucket roll of like a 6, and instead of re-rolling, he so for anyone who doesn't know, you roll your stats on character creation, and there are things like, you know, intellect, dexterity, strength, like what have you. And usually you have like a dump stat, like one you either don't need, or like if you got like a really bad roll, like a lot of times your DM will let you like re-roll one, just to give you a shot to not have a shitty. So he had a 6, and instead of re-rolling it, he was like, no, this will be great, and he put it in his intelligence. And he plays that. And so what he ended up doing was his character is a cleric, and he thinks he's a wood elf because that's who he was raised by. And if you try to tell him, like, hey man, so like, are you sure you're a wood elf? He's like, yeah man, what else would I be? I'm clearly, can't you see, like I see
no problem with this.
Yeah, like, I don't, how to wood elf, like, how am I not a wood elf? Like, stuff like that. So it's funny, and he has an affinity for animals. He's worked very hard to find a way to talk with animals, and they want nothing to do with him.
Oh, that's amazing.
So that's a good one. So like, in your campaigns, I'm not sure how many you've done. Bagelz, I guess, like, you've only done the one. But or I guess that's not true, Bagelz. You've done some side stuff too. But even in your greater RPG experience, actually, where you have options for this, do you guys find that you more go toward battle centric, or do you lean more toward RP centric in reward? Like, is it in the campaigns that you prefer, do you reward like role playing your way out of it, or if like maybe like no, you did like a really good job on your character sheet, like, and you've just kind of fought your way through everything, like, do you reward like which do you prefer? Because I think kind of both can have their place, but I'm curious.
So I guess for me, I'll chime in quick. Obviously, with a little bit of limited experience, it's mostly been just so far with the bard, and so far it's just mostly been me in the back, just kind of rooting on the team, just kind of going, yay, be the cheerleader. And then obviously when we get into role play aspects, it's so about, hey, yeah, so you guy in the tavern there, you're kind of mysterious. What are you up to over there? And trying to persuade him to give up information, that sort of stuff. That's kind of been my role. But in the one shots we've done, I've had a little bit more battle centric, and I had a druid with shillelagh. And so for those unfamiliar with that, basically you turn your staff into a magical weapon, which has a significant increase in its damage output. So basically, you use the staff to beat the shit out of people. It's a lot of fun. Just basically a battle druid just running around, shillelaghing his staff and hitting things over the top of his head. So that was a lot of fun.
It's true. He went full bunny foo-foo on everything we fought. Yeah, he went just bopping it. Just like square,
but yeah,
square
so,
on the head.
And then in the other campaign, it's been more of a monk, and so that's a little bit more battle centric too. That character's been a little bit more. It's kind of like the aforementioned Dan. He's not all that intelligent, but he certainly gets by for the most.
Is that the one that's like an avian, like a bird?
Yeah, that's the bird character.
Oh man!
Are you a Kenku or an Aarakocra?
Kenku. Yep. I'll say it's based on a Kenku. It's actually in a different universe. What's
the deep?
Yeah,
I think that's what it's called.
It's based in The Edge.
The Edge. Oh yeah, sorry, not the deep.
Yep. Yeah, that's the Edge Chronicles. Is the book series. One of our friends, actually Damien, that plays the Dan. He's really into the Edge Chronicles, and so he wanted to do a campaign based on that, but with basically 5e rules just modified for the character and universe of the Edge Chronicles. So yeah, that's
his character is really interesting. At first he was squawking, but it's eventually evolved into sort of like a Jim Cagney, like meow, say meow. He's just
God.
Basically, the birds in that universe, they only learn how to mimic speech. They can understand the words. They're actually not entirely stupid, but they only can learn words through mimicry. So if they can't read a word and know how to pronounce it, they have to hear somebody else speak it. And so initially I was very limited in my vocabulary, slowly expanding.
It's been pretty great. I'm not gonna lie, because now it's like you have this like 30s gangster bird. Like I really hope you start with like he starts wearing his pants all high. And just like starts like walking around like meh, shall I like like just start, or he's like a monk, I guess, like monk punch. Like I don't know how he would emote that.
Basically, it's less so the punching, but more so the talons and the beak.
I always think if you're going to be like a martial character like that, especially like a monk who has, or like a ninja, like whenever you're doing those, I really feel like you got to yell out whatever technique you're doing. That should give you bonus points. If I was your DM, I would give you bonus points. I'd be like, oh man, like I know exactly what jutsu that was. Like, watch out.
See, now I gotta make my next, because I'm playing a monk starting October 4th, and I guess now he has to shout out everything he says.
I love it. Or a strike! Like
it wouldn't be too out of character for him either, so.
I'm just saying, it works out in so many shows. They just yell it out, and like it does it. So I mean,
multiplies the effect of whatever you're doing.
I mean, if you can somehow shout it in red, it'll also be done 3 times faster.
Oh my god!
I don't get this reference.
It's all right. So that's from Gundam.
Okay.
I appreciate Grace getting the reference. The main antagonist in the original series and some of the subsequent series, Char Aznable. He appears in a red mobile suit, is how it's like really distinguishable from all the other like guys that the main character is just like shooting and like one-shotting, like murdering. But in the original thing, it's like, oh shit, the red one's 3 times faster, and like the only distinguishable difference is that like it's red and has like an antenna. And so like the joke is that like painting it red makes it 3 times faster.
You gotta add those the fire pattern, you know.
I also
hot flames.
I also would have accepted a Simpsons speed holes. Just start adding speed holes in the hood.
Oh jeez. Dad, what are you doing?
And speed holes. That's right. But yeah, that's I love the monk aesthetic.
It is a lot of fun. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. What about you, Grace?
In the campaign I play in, I feel like we're rewarded for like try. I mean, I don't know. We've done pretty much both. We, in some fights that I thought we were just gonna get straight into combat. You know, it's sometimes it's me, but most of the time it's our sorcerer who will just be like, okay, hold on, we're not fighting. Let's be friends, kind of thing. And so combat turns into the enemy is like, huh? And then, okay, guess we'll help you out. I guess. Sure. The very first time I played our mirror before the current campaign he's in, he has like a plus like 10 something to intimidation and stuff like that. So he put his pseudo dragon up on top of his head, and one of the other characters that was with us did like that little dome where you can't see through it, but if you pop out, people can see you, like a
tiny hut.
Yeah, exactly, the hut, yeah. And so he climbed up on the orc's shoulders and only leaned out from like his like chest upwards, and then just was like, "You don't want to fight us." And then they got so scared they ran away. And then his pseudo dragon was like up on his head. So like, I love opportunities to role play my way out of things. And when I was DMing for my middle school students last year, I also encouraged them to be, I was like, I'm not going to tell you to kill everything you meet. If you want to talk to them and try to not fight your way through these encounters, be my guest. And this turned into one of the like students charming a bugbear who then became their pen pal. So, I mean, I don't know. I love the roleplay aspect of it, but also there are just some things that the DM will be like, no, you have to fight. And, it's disappointing, but, yeah, I do like role-playing stuff.
Some things just won't take no for an answer.
Mm-hmm.
They just
reminds me of, yeah, it kind of reminds me of our one of our most recent campaigns in the Edge Chronicles, Damien, where he had the giant dragon in that room with us, and basically the encounter wouldn't end. We couldn't figure out why, but basically Taylor had picked a diary from a young girl in the middle of this castle at some point, and he could not give it up.
I think I told you about this, Grace. So this one is my other character. He's chaotic neutral, and he's an urchin. So this was like a side campaign. It was originally going to be a one shot that's turning into like now it's like the other campaign that we do like sometimes that has like it's fun. It's like a side thing, and it's a lot of fun. But my character there is I basically just made a murder hobo.
Oh yeah, you mentioned him. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, so like, yeah, like this is a one shot. Like, what? I know you're not supposed to, but I'm gonna make a murder hobo. This is gonna be fun. And so he's an urchin. He's a rogue, and I took. There are these things. If you don't know, there are these things you can take depending on your race. So in this case, he was the equivalent of a human. And so one of the things you can do as a human is you get a boost to some of your stats, but you can also take a feat on character creation. So what he took was a feat called Magic Initiate. And he took it as a... you can choose... There are different magic classes that you can choose that you're like the initiate in. So he chose Sorcerer, so he could use his Charisma as the modifier. And so what he took was... you get... you basically get 3 spells out of that, and 2 are what they call cantrips, so if you don't know, those are things you can just kind of like cast as much as you want. And then there's a level 1 spell that typically you would only cast like once a day. And so for his 2 cantrips, he took his name is Beverly Thrip. If you're curious, he's a magically delicious character. And he took Green Flame Blade and Booming Blade, so like 2 like sword attacks to add to his like sneak attacks. And the level 1 spell that he took was Disguise Self. And so, for fun, in the first game that we were playing, Beverly will just turn himself into different, like, opulent visages. And so, like, I think in the first one he turned himself into, like, a duke-looking guy. And then he was a very opulent and buxom woman. Mm-hmm. And then most recently he's a dandy. With just a fabulous wig. And... so like it's really funny. So Damien, the DM, liked it so much that he said like, okay, when Beverly does it, like it lasts till he's unconscious.
Oh my god.
Instead of an hour. So
oh my god.
So I'm running around like whole campaigns, and like I was the buxom woman was probably my favorite so far. I think I did that for the most sessions. Before we were finally done with that.
And fan himself and all that fun stuff?
Hmm?
Did he say I do declare and fan himself?
Oh, no. So Beverly has a sort of, it's like my best shot at like a sort of like Vincent Price accent.
Uh-huh.
And his favorite phrase is like, my name is Beverly Thrip. And he always, like, introduces himself in, like, poses. So, like, even when he was the woman, like, he would, like, walk up and, like, there'd be, like, guards be like, who is this? And he would just, like, perform for them. And I rolled some... And, like, all he would do was, like, stand there looking opulent as his performance. And he would just say, like, my name is Beverly Thrip. And, like, boom! And, like, I rolled some really high rolls on that. Like, I think I got, like, a 20 on one.
You just roll a 20 on performance that one time.
Yeah, and just like everyone is so taken by Bevers that they don't how could you even not believe that they are Beverly Thrip? Like, so clearly, like you just let them in. Like so and in reality, when the illusion fades, he got knocked out once. He's just like he's an urchin. So he, like, lives on the streets, like, his shirt's too small, like, his belly's out, like, I don't think he has shoes. Or at least, like, not proper shoes. He might have, like, other objects he's using as shoes. I haven't decided. It changes. But yeah, so that is Beverly Thrip. That's been a lot of fun. So because he's chaotic neutral, back to, like, what got me talking about, I really try to play him as just sort of like the cinematic, like just doing whatever. So we were in this mission where we were going into, like, we were raiding this, like, pirate lord's, like, tower keep where he lived. And his family lived there too, and one of the rooms we were searching was his daughter's room. So Bevs finds the diary, and he's like, starts reading it, and, you know, no one understands her. And she's not sure if Kevin likes her or not. And, like, this is in the middle of the book, so, like, there's writing to the end. Like, Bevs needs to know. And so he took the diary and was reading it throughout the adventure until the dragon came for it.
Oh my god.
Yeah. It was pretty sweet.
Wild.
What is it? He also took her dad's pipe. He's been smoking it, but he always, like, says when he's puffing. So he's just like, puff, puff. And what is it? I performed for our friend Don's character. I performed a smoke trick, and I think, like, I rolled, like, a 19 or a 20 on that, too. So I just, like, blew a fucking space shuttle through a ring. It's just like I said, like, no one, not even Beverly, has any context of what a space shuttle is. He just felt this was the most complicated thing he could imagine.
Jesus Christ.
So
I'm
yeah.
trying to think of anything that compares like that in our campaign, but I really got to think hard, because there has been some funny shit we've done. But, oh my God.
I have a bit of a penchant for it, especially with Beverly Bees, just because like I think I still think of the character as sort of it's a one shot character. Like, do what you want, like make a murder hobo,
live your best life.
Yeah, like he is amazing. But it's really hilarious because we've leveled up a few times. Like I think we just got to level 5. Beverly's gotten there twice. They had to level me down.
You were too powerful.
Well, it's because there was Bags. I think there was one campaign without you.
Yeah.
And then Beverly killed like it wasn't a god, but it was like real powerful.
Dave was like, "Oh shit, this is a lot of experience."
Yeah, I think I killed like a black dragon or something.
My God.
Yeah. Well, I had some help. Like, it wasn't like he did it by himself. But, like, I made... so there's these things, listeners, called archetypes. And archetypes are, like, you pick your class at the beginning, and then at 3rd level, you get to pick, like, there are, like, subcategories within that class that you can kind of pursue, and they get different benefits. I picked one called Swashbuckler. And, long story short, he's someone who can like kind of like sneak out, like hit you real quick and like get away pretty easily. And I was fighting with I had 2 gigantic friends that we'd made along the way, blocking space and keeping this dragon at bay. So I was just moving in and out behind them and like, you know, just pecking away very tinily. It's like I don't know if anyone's ever worked construction, but sometimes you got to have everyone working. And so you'll see things like there's a dude operating like heavy machinery and another dude with a shovel, both like kind of contributing. And it's like sometimes like you're the dude with the shovel, and so that's who Bev's was. But he got the final blow, like, and he killed the dragon. So,
Oh my God.
so he leveled up. And then he was like, all right, like, you know, we need to bring you back down because we're introducing new characters. I was like, oh, okay. So put me back down to level 3, and now I'm back up to level 5 again.
God. I can't believe they had to nerf him.
It's very spicy. I can't emphasize enough the spice. It's very picante. It's very... It'll get you. But Grace, you mentioned you DM for your students. If anyone doesn't know, I hope I'm allowed to say since you brought it up already. But like, Grace is a teacher. She teaches the children.
I teach the youth.
The youths.
The youths.
The youths.
No, I meant impressionable youth.
The unimpressionable youths.
The unimpressionable.
These youths are so jaded. I work at a special school for only jaded youths. They've had enough of my shit, and we haven't met yet. But
they're just as important.
I'm sorry, but what is it? What is it? You teach art, right?
I do.
Awesome. That's so cool.
Yep, that's me.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. We could have. That's super cool that you're doing that. I used to work with kids myself, but not in anything near that capacity. But like they're fun to work with. I think. I definitely learn a lot, and it's a lot of fun to have a fresh, like literally perspective on something. For yourself too. But did you say you DM for them?
I did. So last year I was like, I'm running art club, but I think it'd be really cool to run a tabletop club. And that was my way of disguising it as a Dungeons and Dragons club, was saying, hey, it's tabletop. Can I run a tabletop club? And they're like, what's it like? I'm like, well, we play games. They're like, it's like a board game. I'm like, so I try to pitch it to my admin, and they were like, okay, sure. And so,
Brilliant.
one of them was all on top of it, and they were like, yeah, we can get you a stipend for it too. And I'm like, I get paid to do this. But I used the stipend basically to get them dice. I got like a DM screen. I was able to get like 2 of the starter kits because that would be like enough for them to share. And yeah, I had like an interest meeting, and a bunch of kids showed up, and then some of them didn't show up for character creation. So I was like, well, like that, you guys are it. And it was exactly 20. And I'm like, well, what I can do is it turned from 1 meeting a week into 2, and then I DM'd for 10 students each day.
Sure.
So,
wow.
Yeah. So 10 middle schoolers in a D&D group.
Amazing.
Like, for the very first time. 10 a day. So it was the same group on Tuesdays and then a different group of the same kids on Thursdays. So I had 2 different parties, and I basically walked them through character creation. I taught them how to, utilize all their skills and checks and everything, and encouraged some of them to do, character voices or really role play it out and things like that. And I definitely learned a ton about D&D, like through teaching them how to play it. So that was really, really cool. And also, surprisingly, a lot of my quietest students that were in my class that had heard about it through me saying like, hey, there's a meeting, an interest meeting, come check it out, joined the club and started to really like talk to other kids in class, and they started meeting outside of school and talking about the games, and a few of them even started their own campaign outside of the club. And it was really, really cool to see how interested they were. And I had some kids that had things after school that they had to leave the club for, and then instantly there was a kid that was like, I've heard about this from one of my friends, I want to come join, can I join? And then that turned into them using class period, and I would help them build a character really quickly, and then they would be the new fill-in. So it was definitely a learning experience for me. It was fun to build my own campaign in my own world. It was definitely really inspired by things like the Adventure Zone and just other things that I'm interested in too. And one of like even their initiation things into like the big overarching story was meeting the Drifter and playing Gambit.
I love it.
I adapted the rules of Gambit in a more D&D way. So
cut out their hearts.
Like very low, not that extreme. Like low level, like low challenge rating monsters that could be like the enemies they would fight, and figuring out what like the blockers could be. And they also learned about the death mechanic through that too. So one of them about lost their minds thinking their character perma-died, and I was like, no. I was like, it's fine, it's all right, I'll teach you what to do. And it was Gambit, so they air quote respawned because of magic. But I let them kind of hang in the balance there, so kind of really worry about it for the first time. I mean, it sounds cruel, but also
it's part of the game.
I wanted them to experience it and know what it's like. So but yeah, it was really, really cool. I was really sad because I started getting messages after we switched to all online last semester, to like, I really miss D&D. Is there any way we can play? I'm like, guys, I don't know. I was like, your laptops block all the websites we want to use, and some people don't have access to it at home. So it was really disappointing finding that out, but because a lot of them really depended on that each week, and my room was a safe space for them. So I don't know. It was definitely like a really wholesome and positive experience for me, and I'm trying to figure out a way to do that currently, but I do know that still our clubs have to be all online, so it kind of gets rid of the tabletop aspect of it. And having to, because I don't really use Roll20 a lot, but that would be the only way I could really teach them. And having to teach them a whole new program that I don't know quite well just yet is just I wish, because I wish last year we would have gotten the game started sooner, but I don't know. It was just really eye-opening, and a really, really, like I said, a really, really awesome and cool experience. So I would do it again in a heartbeat as soon as it's safe to do so. But yeah.
Oh man, that's so well. Good on you for doing that. I think creating a safe space for kids, and especially a place for kids who might not otherwise be able to really come out of their shell, is really, really admirable, and that's super awesome. And if anyone listening, just want you to know if she can create that positive sort of atmosphere for atmosphere. If she can create that sort of a positive atmosphere for middle schoolers who are like going through like puberty and hormones and hate everything, especially old people, and we're all old.
Hey, speak for yourself.
I mean, honestly, like, I remember being in middle school, and I'm gonna just withhold, like, what my opinion probably would have been at the time. I'm just gonna put it out there, like, I said what I said. Sip. But, I just want to put it out there, like, she can, I guarantee you that there's more than likely a space for you at these one shots she's doing if you wanna give it a try.
Yeah, and the schedule that I posted too is just it's pretty tentative, and it's for just the next couple of months. So I definitely plan on running more. So it's not just for the dates I listed, but I'm gonna keep the server up and everything once I have that all set up, and it will definitely be a ongoing thing. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. Oh man. So during your story, I heard you mention sort of the importance of doing voices, and that's something that's kind of come up at least for me in our game recently, the Bagels. I've had to. There's been some times where, as I remember things, like, people be like, oh, like, you said this. I was like, yeah, but that wasn't in character. And I was just using the same voice for both, without having clear articles. Like, some people, like, maybe voices just aren't your thing. But without having, like, clear articles of, like, you know, out of character, I'm saying this. Like, I would have conversations with people that I guess, like, they thought were in character, and quite similarly, like, just, like, similar voices, like, added to confusion. I was like, I should just do a voice. That way, there's no, like, ambiguity. Although I think I need to do a better one, Bagels. Chris said he couldn't tell when I was.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that was funny. I thought I was laying it on pretty thick, in there. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. What were your points when you were talking to your students, Grace, about like the importance of doing a voice and like and that type of thing?
Well, I mean, you bring up a good point, like the importance of doing a voice. You don't have to, as long as you're able to say, like, okay, and then Armir says, and then say what you're saying. That I was letting them know that it wasn't absolutely necessary. I had like a couple theater kids in my class too, and remember my public school years and being a part of that like group, and those were all my friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were totally down for like getting way into character. But some kids were like, they would just look at me and just speak. And I would have to make that distinction in my head, like, okay, maybe that was in character. And, the DM can like ask too, so can other players. But I just think it's fun to do different voices. As someone who's an amateur voice actor as well. Because not only is it practice, but it it's just fun, and you're not doing it to make fun of people who may have like a different accent or a different voice. It's just it's just another layer into the character development that you're doing. So like Armir has a very UK accent, and
nice.
like the one that I have to play as right now, because Armir's not a part of this arc, she's got a Russian accent, and that's really fun to do. But like it's practice, it's fun, you're in character and stuff like that. But we also have like a player who is a rogue half Gorgon, and because she is and I love Macy to death. I've known Macy for years. She's from Tennessee, lived in Tennessee her entire life. She has a very strong Southern accent. So Dima, who looks like she should talk with this smooth, sultry, like sneaky accent because she's a rogue and she's a half Gorgon, she has a Southern accent, and it's fantastic. Macy just kind of says, oh well, Dima will go and she'll talk as Dima. So while voices and stuff like that can be really, really fun, it's also perfectly fine if you don't feel comfortable doing a different voice or accent to just be like dictating, hey, so and so says this now, and then speak. So
I like that.
You know, both ways. I just like it because it's fun and silly.
I really like that. It's really funny you bring that up. I had decided on a Southern accent, just my mother being from South Carolina and Grandma living with us growing up. I can do an all right one, but I was trying to be very strict to sort of keep it within the world, that like the world setting. That I wasn't going to do mannerisms or or anything like that, like Southern slang or anything like that. So it's like a fine line that I have to walk, because like you have to have good diction, but you have to do it like with the twang.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's and that's all dependent on the setting. That's something I'm putting on myself. Anyone listening, like, don't be like, oh shit, like I thought this was going to be fun. Like, no, that's my own restriction. But yeah, he's a rogue, and I gave him a Southern accent. And I might have to. I was gonna say, yeah, I might have to kick it up a notch based on what our DM was saying. But we'll find out. We'll find out next game. We'll find out here in a couple of weeks. Bagelz, what are your thoughts? I think you've just being a newer player. I think you've done it both ways actually in both games now, especially with your bird character, which yeah. I think which one is this one's name? Russell Crowe.
No, that was the original name. I changed it to Will Tweeton eventually.
Okay. I really want. Can we, Damien, if you're listening, can we have Russell Crowe come back as like an NPC? Because Bevs remembers him. He remembers his original bird friend, and I'm gonna accidentally start calling Will Russell.
And I'm stealing this idea, and I'm playing Kenku named Russell Crowe, and you can't stop me. You absolutely cannot stop me. That is too good.
I fully support this.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Biggs.
No, you're good. Quite frankly, when I first started with both Russell and Will Tweeton, I was like, I really want to try and like fit in a character voice with this. And it's kind of hard. I have a little bit of experience with accents and that sort of stuff, but it's pretty limited. So I was like, but I think I kind of imitate noises a little bit and kind of fill it in a little bit and kind of into the Jim Cagney type of thing a little bit. And it's actually kind of fun just to kind of do that. But yeah, my other character Valhalla. from the other campaign.
This is the bar.
He doesn't really have an accent at all. It's kind of my normal speaking voice. But yeah, I try to make it pretty clear who's speaking whenever it's Val that's actually speaking. I think that's the biggest thing, is just to make it clear who is speaking, and try, because you still have to try and find your character when you're speaking to the other characters in the campaign. That's the biggest thing in my opinion.
Oh, and I think we got carried off on a tangent. I don't know if I fully appreciated the range of characters that you've played, because you've played in such a short time for being a new player. I think I've played with you with at least like 4 different characters that you've put together.
Yeah, that's about right. Yes. We've been we've been doing 2 kind of major campaigns and then just two one-shots off to the side, and it's been a lot of fun developing those characters. And
I have an idea for. Oh, I'm sorry, my bad.
You're good.
I was gonna say I have an idea for a one-shot. that we're planning, and I've started work on it, you should know. But like the one thing, like I could probably put it together if like we like, not too long, but I'm taking my time, because the whole premise of it is it's strictly a one shot, but the whole premise of it is there is a wizard, and he's created a bunch of tiny servants, and you're one of them. And your whole character creation is that you roll to see what object you get created from, that I'm going to give you some, like, bonus stats for. So, like, I mean, all I'm going to say is, like, watch out for whoever rolls the chamber pot.
Oh no.
Yeah. Like, you think... dude, whoever stands in that thing's way is gonna get messed up. But the whole premise of the campaign is this wizard has created you, and he's sending you into another wizard's lair to steal something and get back. So like it's like a little wizard tower is the whole campaign. He's gonna teleport you in there, and like if you die, don't worry. You're just gonna roll and get it be another thing. Is the premise of it, because like this wizard's like whole build is that I basically I would need to pull it up to tell you like all the specifics of it, but it's like it's mostly wizard with I think I dipped into sorcerer once, or maybe it was warlock, but I basically made it so he could create as many tiny servants in a day as possible, which I think came out to like I think it's over 100.
Really?
Yeah, no, he can do a lot. He can do a lot.
That's kind of insane.
Well, no, because but like I built him specifically around that spell. And so like no matter how like what goes wrong, like I can send more of them in there to like help you guys. So no worries. You guys are set up.
The Mission Impossible theme plays during the entire one shot.
Man. Oh dude, it's gonna be fun. So like the whole premise is you'll make your way through like 5 levels of this wizard's tower. You'll find the object, and then you gotta make it back out.
I fully get the entire feeling that's gonna be like Fantasia.
That's exactly what Tiny Servant is. So like we brought this up earlier. For those of you who don't know, Tiny Servant, the spell is it turns any object, it basically like animates it, but it like basically either from its parts like sprouts arms and legs. So if it was like a cup, let's say like the handle is one of the arms now, and like little feet just kind of like pop out of the bottom, and they're like animated, and they'll do stuff for you for like 8 hours.
But don't get it wrong, there is a spell called Animate Object.
Yeah, that's different.
That's something completely different.
That would be like... Yeah, that would be like... So the difference would be Animate Object would be like you're puppeteering something, whereas this is like you've created a thing that will carry out a task without you paying attention to it. So like slightly different. And way cooler than Unseen Servant, which is a lower level spell.
You actually get to see it do things.
Yeah,
time.
No, and it's like Fantasia, like just like just like Biggs has pointed out here. But yeah, I'm really excited for it. I've put together the list. I've made his character sheet, and I'm just coming up with like some fights or puzzles you guys can do. Once you get to the top and try to steal the item. I don't want to spoil too much, but yeah. So that should be a lot of fun.
I concur. I've been looking forward to it for a while.
So yeah, I started working on it. Work's been busy, but I hope to get that ready for you guys here soon. So actually, that's a good point. So like that's my idea of like a silly one shot, but like I'm a silly boy. What kind of stuff are you getting into, Grace? For anyone interested, or if anyone's like curious as to like what like, depending on what material you're using, what like an opening campaign like can more typically be like? Because I feel like while mine probably might sound fun, like hopefully I hope, it might not be it might not be like the most typical campaign, right?
Well, are you talking about my one shots or just how I start a campaign?
I was thinking more about your one shots for like, or like maybe just like one shots in general that you've encountered, because like for me, like I've done some one shots with like Pathfinder, which is like basically like 3.5 light, and at cons and you know like first edition at cons, but I haven't done too many of them. And I'm just kind of curious, like, usually what I run into has been the sort of Adventure League, or Adventure Guild, I think that's what it's called. The
Adventurers Guild, yeah.
Yeah, the Adventurers Guild. Yeah, it's been sort of like pre-set campaigns that, like, they would put on at cons. And so it's like you have, like, preset character sheets to pick from, like, you sit down. Whereas, like, what you're doing, I think I would actually enjoy, I'm going to enjoy, I've signed up, I'm going to enjoy a lot more because like yours involves like character creation and I think a lot more input than what you might experience in those sort of like more mass appeal settings. Because I feel like at a con it's a little more understandable that they might not have time to sit down and walk you through the nuances of creating your character.
Right. I would say that's probably more like that at cons, so that way at least the DM knows what they're dealing with going into whatever whatever module they're running. I am a lot more freeform with it because it's, they're one shots. I am more focused on just running the module and things like that. So, I actually came into some of these really cool books. They come out monthly, apparently. I need to look into getting a proper subscription of them, but they're called Rolled and Told, and they basically come with.
I really like that.
They basically come with one shot, and then they also come, which is like what they call it, the main adventure. It comes with like these illustrated comics and stuff too to go along with it. And it comes with like some information. Like one of these has like running the game, death and how to live with it, like why killing your characters won't kill your campaign, sort of thing. And they also include a mini adventure, so you could always like stick that into a like main campaign if you wanted to, like fit it in your story. So I've got a bunch that I've been reading up and like kind of rehearsing in my head about how these one shots can go. So there's some really fun ones in here. A lot of people, I put out a poll to see if people would want like to know what the titles of the one shots are, and everybody was like, "No, keep it a mystery." So I'm like, okay, that's what you asked for. But some of them are really, really cool, and a couple of them I could see going on for like several hours too, just because of how complex some of the mechanics are. But the reason I want people to come in with their own characters is because then at least they know that they're invested in what they've made. So it's not just like, oh, I have to play a dwarf. Man, I wanted to play a tiefling. I wanted to be a wizard, not a fighter. You know what I mean? So at least they have some choice in what's going on. So, it's not so unexpected, because I know that can be kind of anxious because you don't know, what you're going to get going into it. So, I just like giving them the choice of at least what they're playing. But yeah.
That's going to be really cool. I'm looking forward to the one shot that we have, because I think that'll be really accessible for anyone that is new, right? Because I'm not sure who else is signing up for my time slot. I was going to say Bagels. I should sign up for yours also, but then I was like, well, I don't know. I don't want to make the connected at the shoulder reference stick too hard and always show up together from stuff. People start wondering if we're like, if one of us is actually Superman. Like, I don't know. Like,
I mean, have you ever seen us in different chat?
Exactly.
I haven't.
Not even, and I just met you like a few years ago. So like, what? Like,
we're alter egos of one another, but we somehow only can coexist within Discord chats.
It's like Fight Club, only way less personal. And scene. All right. See, we just RP'd that. No, that was that's total horseshit. I did not RP that at all. But guys, I just want to put out there that that's really awesome. I think it's like from an accessibility standpoint, and like Bagels actually as the sort of like the more new player, have you found, because I think for everything you've done, I don't think you've ever done like a pre-made build, but like versus the sort of pre-made builds that you might get in some of the RPGs that you've played, how do you like being able to build it yourself?
It's a lot of fun, I'll say that much. I mean, some RPGs get a fair number of customizable options. Basically, you're down to a couple select races, something like that. You're pretty limited on what you can choose for customizations. In D&D, basically, the sky's the limit. You can imagine a character where they're low, fat, and chubby, and basically they're just like a tank that can move like 20 feet, but they're super strong. Or you could have a mage that just is gliding all over the place and basically casting fireball at a drop of a pin. Or you can have a bard that is just talking everybody's ear off and basically whipping out the loot at every possible opportunity to try and get a lady, essentially.
Oh man,
whatever you want to, and
you can do it all.
That's the fun part about it, in my opinion. You're not limited to what the constraints are of a typical RPG. You're even if you're somewhat limited in what the designs of the DM or the campaign are in, but you still are pretty much wide open, because any DM I've played with, basically they'll give you some leeway and allow you to basically bring in whatever you want to, and we'll make it work. Thing. That's always, at least that's been my experience. So yeah.
I like it. That's good to hear. It's been a while since I was like that first player, and I think when I was doing it, I was playing with people who were like way more experienced than me. Like they'd just been doing it a lot. I don't really know. We were all younger, obviously, so I don't know for like how long they've been doing it, but I definitely felt like I learned a lot in those things, and I think I've taken some habits that might not always be the best. Like I think I have like this habit of trying to like overpower my character. Mm-hmm. Just because that's what we did. That's like we just made like, all right, so you've made a character, but he's not ridiculous. What if you built him exactly this way? And be like, oh yeah, that's a pretty sweet build. Okay. Yeah, I'll do that. All right, and I'm rolling 9 dice now. All right, and yeah, he's decimated. Okay, all right, moving on. Like, yeah.
It kind of takes the fun out of it, though. It takes, because the failures are half the fun in D&D.
Absolutely.
You're trying to persuade this guy, and you roll a 1, and the DM looks at you as like, you're gonna die now. Sort of thing. That's part of the fun of it.
So for anyone who's never heard of tabletop and like never heard of like D&D, you typically, for a lot of actions, you'll roll something, the different number die involved, and you have basically it's you versus a check, or it's you versus another roll for the character that you're playing against, and it sort of comes out to like whoever has the higher number. So you'll have ranks and like skills and like different stuff that you can exploit to get around things. And I think to Bagel's point, I just want to like round out that thought I was having, to where it's just, yeah, powering your way through stuff can be fun sometimes. Like sometimes you want to make a murder hobo, even if he is like fabulous. But but like other times you actually want to have options. So it's very I think it's good to be honest with your roles and just sort of like feel out the group, because like sometimes you're gonna have one shots where like, yeah, like this is gonna be fun, guys. It basically becomes like battle tactics with friends. Like it's you guys trying to work your way through like obstacles in your characters that you built, or sometimes it's like, let's actually RP through this. Let's try to work it out. Let's use our different strengths to get through these puzzles and problems that we're facing. So I think it's good to have both, a mix of both. But I sometimes I worry that I just so heavily like fall into the one side that I can miss out on the other. So that's one of like the checks I have to make for myself. Sure. Every time I go into to character creation, is like, what am I really trying to get out of this? Like, how should I build this character?
And I would always make the argument that it's more important to build your character around. I would argue it's better to build around a backstory than it's better to. I mean, maybe you roll first and you see what you're doing, and you come out with, oh, I have a 6. Where am I going to throw this? Sort of thing. And so you're like, oh, maybe my character is just repulsive and has a charisma of 6. So anytime he walks up to and you try to persuade them to talk to you, they're just like, no, get away from me, sort of thing. That can be a lot of fun too. Just it basically rounds out who that character is and how they interact with the world that the DM has created.
I really dig that, yeah, and especially if your character has like a bad dump stat like that. Dump stat is termed for like your character doesn't really build off this stat, so you dump your bad roll into it. is usually how I was taught to use it. I don't know if you guys heard it specifically differently, but it's been particularly fun. And it's been particularly fun. I'll fix that, but it's been particularly fun working out how to, because I've kind of learned from you guys, I guess is what I want to say, that when you have like a bad roll, you can play off of it. You can use that to sort of like add to the fun, instead of trying to be like, oh well, like I should redo it now. Like sometimes you get something incredibly bad, like a 3. No one should do that. You don't need that in your life.
It's up to DM's discression too to let you re-roll those sort of terrible things. Like when I was rolling for a D&D Destiny character I played recently, I think I rolled like a 6 or something, and I'm like, hey, Pink, please help. Can I please re-roll the stat? I was like, I don't even know, like knowing Tester, I was like, I don't even know what he would be terrible at here because he's fairly well-rounded. And she's like, yeah, it's fine. Go ahead. Like, yes. So, but there's also parts where like at the beginning of the campaign, I didn't think I'd be putting stats into like, or at least pursuing things that would help Armir with his performance rolls, because I never thought that would be a thing I would be rolling a lot for him. But there was a certain like moment in our campaign where we had to dance a lot, and my dice were like, you know what, we're gonna kick ass during this part of the campaign. And I rolled so high, and Armir just kept like cutting the dance floor to shreds, and I was like, well, I guess he dances really good now. And that just became a thing. And I don't know, it's just like, it's like the little moments like that where you just don't expect your character to develop in that way, but it's a lot of fun. So
absolutely. What comes to mind for me is we were doing a one shot with Taylor's girlfriend was DMing, and we had another one of Taylor's
Kari's one shot. I was about to bring up my character.
Your friend Tay, he
my best friend's name is also Taylor, for anyone wondering.
We walked into a tent, and there was a carnival going on. And so one of the events was basically you had to find your way across the tables of the tent, basically dodging projectiles thrown by the observers in the tent. And so basically he didn't have very good eyes, but he just kept rolling ridiculous. And eventually he just made it through all the way. And we're like, holy shit, what did we just do? And he won the whole event. And the tent was wild. It was fantastic.
I like it. I think you cut out a little bit for me there, Bagels, but that was I didn't have very high. Well, I had okay dexterity. I think it was.
It was Tay that was rolling the.
Right.
He's the one that made it through.
He made it through all the way. Yeah, that was amazing. And yeah, then we all. I think we wasted that because that was sort of a Groundhog Day thing, where until you figured out what's going on, like the day kept starting over.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, so like that was a very fun. That was a fun like little like one shot.
That was a great campaign. Yeah.
I had a lot of fun with that. And with God, what is it with Kari as the DM? It was my friend Taylor's first time doing any like D&D stuff. So that was really interesting to see him sort of like oh yeah, and like he would I think he like charisma'd like 3 different people while he was there, because that was like a big like stat for him. My character, which we were so like just because it was people's first time, we were only supposed to really like work from the player's handbook, because it's like, you know, enough to consume like at once, I think, if it's your first time. So we were playing, and I made a halfling what was it, ranger, and I picked his name out of the suggested names from the book. And so his name was Cade Toscobble.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. His dump stat, so his backstory, like I kind of crafted after I made the rolls. His dump stat was charisma. I think his charisma was like a 7 or an 8. It was pretty low.
It was pretty low, yeah.
And so his dump stat was that, like, he came from a clan that would, like, walk people through this, like, dangerous forest as, like, guides. So he was, like, really good at hiding, but he was good at, like, and his favorite terrain was, like, forest and stuff like that. But his family had been mostly, like, eaten or dead by, like, the various monsters in the forest. So he was like, hey, like, you need to go, like, make a family, like, have some kids, or else, like, you'll get eaten out here. So, like, he's on this quest to find a girlfriend on this thing, and his charisma is terrible. But for whatever reason, he was rolling really high with everyone he tried to flirt with.
Oh my god.
And it was really great. I think this is one of the things I was trying to touch upon earlier when I was kind of talking over myself. That it was really fun to kind of like RP the surprise even that he has, because like he knows that he's awful at this. When things are going well and they're like, yeah, I would like to go around the fair. They're like, really? Okay, all right, with me.
Guess we're doing this.
All right. We're doing okay, let's do it. And it was really funny because the days kept starting over. He had essentially gone on 2 dates with this one woman, and then he met another woman and he went on a date with her.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he didn't contribute too much to the overall quest, but he was there when it mattered. He tried to help.
And it really added to it that Kari, his girlfriend, was DMing, so she was playing all the characters that he was dating with. He's like, you're gonna dump this other girl? But she doesn't even know who I am at this point.
Yeah, but you spent so much time with her, like, yeah, so just you'll have another chance. Like, well, what? It's 2 dates, nothing happened. So that was probably more awkward for Kari. Kari, if you're listening to this ever or through the wall right now, sorry. Sorry. But yeah, that was a fun one. That was a fun one shot. That was another one where you got to. It was a little more limited, I guess, than some of the other campaigns. But that's another one where you. Just because it was, I think rightly for the guidelines of just using the player's handbook. But that was a fun one. I'd never played a ranger before, so that was really interesting to go out there. So for anyone who doesn't know, like each of the classes obviously like play differently. You kind of have like, and you might be familiar with this from like MMOs or other games. You kind of have like different versions of like the Holy Trinity. So you have like people who do DPS. Like you have people who like do damage output or maybe have high skills. You have people who, and this is in the broadest of terms, so I don't mean this as like, oh, that's how I have to build the character, but like the different classes are sort of like geared toward these different things, which may actually be changing soon. There's a new book coming out that I would love to do a follow episode of talking about, like with the new rules. That would be cool. But you have different archetypes that things like tend to like lean towards. So like your person who maybe like does okay at damage but can do all these useful skills might be your rogue or like thief type. Like, they can work a lot of different things well. And then you might have your magic users. You might have someone who does damage output, and you might have someone who does like a lot more healing, and then there's, how would you guys classify druids? Like hippies? Like, is that a class? Like,
I mean, I feel like that plays more off of the background of your character that you can choose if you're a hippie or not.
Can you be a druid who hates trees?
I mean, yeah, you could just stick to the animal side of it and be like, fuck everything. I don't know. I mean,
oh god, Grace, that reminds me. Do you remember it? So we did a proto episode to this, you guys. I think this one's going, like, the other one was really good. I did the editing for it actually earlier, but this is, I think, way more amazing. With our more structured, having tried this once before approach. But I remember. I don't know if you remember the monk who hates trees.
Yes, and they were Minecraft
all the plants.
The trees.
Yeah, dude, yeah. So I imagine this dude who's like, he's 87, right? Like, he's just like monk, like he is set in his ways. There is no like changing his mind about this. A tree fell on his parents, dead. Has a total vendetta against plants. Completely vegan, not because he cares about animals, but because he fucking hates plants. If you're walking down the road, he will walk off to the side because fuck you, grass.
Like, not going to get the satisfaction of eating you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, he will do so much. Like, he's going to be cremated. Like, it's completely like just like fuck the planet. And I just imagine that, like, the entire time he got to, like, level 1 or 2, depending on where the campaign started, he was just off in the forest, like, honing his skills, like, just punching trees because he hates them so much, like, and then just by the end of it, like, of years of just, like, solid, like, punching trees and eating a vegan diet, he's just so, like...
Very creative, eating a vegan diet.
Yes, he's so ripped that he can
Oreos
fell a tree in like one punch.
He lived only off of water and Oreos for his entire life.
I was reading. I don't know if you guys have any like silly builds that you've come up with over the years, but I was reading about one earlier, and it's a barbarian who uses a lance, but the entire build, I was reading those on Reddit, the entire build is based around destroying like objects, like the castle itself, as opposed to trying to like deal with the enemy inside.
Oh my god!
And so like,
it's a barbarian that destroys infrastructure.
Yeah, like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. And it got even more bonuses if you used a lance specifically. And so I'm just imagining Don Quixote, and you're like watching it as another character. He's like, yo, is this guy tilting at windmills? And to steal a quote from Reddit, is this guy tilting at windmills and winning? Like, is that what? Yeah, that is not my comment. That is, I can't forget the name, but that was a high voted comment in Reddit, and I thought it's just so perfect as the reaction that any like reasonable character would have. Just like, really? He just, wow. All right.
I'd say a lot of my silly builds are more based off of puns. They're not things that I've actually gotten to do because, like I said, I really have only been a PC with the current campaign I'm in with Armir, and he's just a straight up warlock. But like, these are puns I'm sure anybody playing D&D long enough has heard. Like, you know, a bard and a barbarian. It's a barbarian. I think that'd be really fun to be. Or an Aarakocra barbarian would be a birdbarian. You know, things like that. Or like a sorcerer that casts food-based spells as a sorcerer. You know, it's silly things like that. So,
I really want,
yeah.
I really want to hear a bird bard now, where it's just like tweeting the whole time. And, like, whenever you perform it, you just have, like, some nature track ready to go. And it's just like, tweet, like going up. I can't do bird calls, or else I would just do that, but that's how I
can do the one with the hands. That's about it. But with the campaign I ran, it required me to make an NPC for every playable class. So I ended up making the bard it was an Aarakocra, and it was a hummingbird, so he was a hummingbird. And
oh my god!
So when they went to go look for the bard representative, they couldn't find him, and he was like, "I'm down here," and you know, they had to look down, and there he was, just chilling with his. They were like, "What's your instrument? Is it a tiny lute?" And he goes, "No," and he had a magical instrument that he summoned, and it was this massive harp.
Oh
and
my god!
That was his musical instrument of choice.
I really hope if anything ever happened to the harp, that your fallback on was that he would just hum his way out of it.
Well, the students that were playing at the time started bickering and arguing right in front of him. So while I was waiting there for them to be done, I pulled up that video of the hummingbird sleeping, where it's like whistling really loudly, and I just started playing it over the Bluetooth speaker I had, because that was how I did like music and stuff to establish atmosphere.
Oh, nice.
And so I just started playing that, and they were like, "What's that noise? What's going on?" I said, "Oh yeah, while you guys were arguing about where you should go next and what to talk to the bard about, he fell asleep." And so
he is tiny and adorable, and he can't talk to you now. So
he's not time for this shit.
Roll a check to see if you can handle how precious he is.
I had to talk in a really high-pitched accent for that too. It's great.
Ooh, nice. Yeah, so I think that's one of the best things I think that I think I could tell anyone who's thinking about getting interested in D&D is you can really just take it anywhere you want. You can be silly, you can be serious, you can be tropey, and you can like fight against the tropes. Like, I love the idea if you had like a Rainbow Sunshine Warlock. Like, they made a pact with a unicorn they met by accident through dumb luck and just became like, Bill Fernandez turned into a magical girl.
Our Mirror's first patron, like in that one off campaign that we tried to do, I didn't know enough about the game at the time, and I was like, man, I have to pick a god? Like, what am I supposed to do? I was like, this one looks cool because I get these powers with it. So I had said at the time that he made a pact with Baphomet because he thought Baphomet was hot. And that was why he chose it. And
it's such a JoJo thing to do.
It is, right? It's very JoJo's. And that was before I even knew what JoJo's was.
Dio, I found you naked. Of course I'll work for you.
But then I started to go back on character building, and I was like, maybe I was like, well, I was looking at doing the great old ones, because I feel like those like spells and stuff are cool, because you get like, detect thoughts, and you could, do all that kind of cool stuff. Like, the little features you get per level and things. And I was like, I'm gonna look more into Dendar, like the Nightmare Serpent, because that was kind of our Mirror's whole look, is like, he's an abyssal tiefling, he's dark purple, so like that could be a good whole aesthetic to roll with. And then, come to find out, through backstory and character development, that he didn't choose to have a pact in the first place, and all that fun stuff. And then he ended up, after several encounters with how bad the Dendar can be and the things she was asking him to do, and the way it was affecting his party and all that, he's like, maybe I don't want this pact anymore. And he ended up just revoking it and taking the offer from an archfey. And now he's with an archfey, and it's kind of cool, but he always gives him like really extravagant, gaudy things to wear and stuff like that. So it's fun, and I love Nar to death. They are such a fun NPC, but also it's like, come on. He likes sparkly things, but not to the extent of sparkly boots that cast a spell when you put the heels together. So.
I actually really love this, because you thought you were getting away from the JoJo, and it just keeps you thought you could escape it, and then around the corner, all you see is menacing floating in the air in Japanese.
That's very much him. He wouldn't sit there and just that was our Mirror before more character development. He was very like, I don't trust you. I don't trust anyone. Any of you could be here to take me back to that guy, and I don't want to. I'm not chancing it. I'm not. Let's not do this.
You've grown from part 3 into part 4.
Yes, we beat up our friends now.
That's right. You beat them up with friendship.
Yep. You will be my friend.
I love that you do that, because what I feel like the book really lends itself to is that like a brooding sort of gothy warlock, just like like and it's not that like the book does tell you, I think in character creation very early on, that like you make this your own, but it's just like the powers just lend themselves to that. I really do. It's like, oh yeah, I can be whatever I want. But I have like, cut yourself to summon a flame blade. Like, really? Like, I have to. Like, that's not a real thing. I'm being a jerk.
I mean, it is a thing, because there are blood hunters that have to do that.
I thought I was being extreme.
On our no, that's a whole class. That's a thing.
Like, this is what I'm saying. Like cut yourself.
That's a legitimate thing.
You see what I'm saying? Like, but I love the idea that when you really get down to the root of it, like, unlike so the other magic classes, anyone listening, if you're not sure, the other magic classes, like wizards, like their power is through study, right? Like their book, their journal of all like the spells that they know, like yeah, like that's their knowledge is the source of their power. And then you have like sorcerers who they're just like, I don't know, I feel like sorcerers are like ready to join Mensa. They're just like naturally great at shit, and no one's sure why. It's like, yeah, no, I don't know, just like like flame.
A celestial kissed me when I was a baby, and now I can cast magic.
Yeah, like it's very like kismety, like it's fun. And then you have like the healing classes like cleric, like other stuff.
Sorry, with sorcerer, real quick, it is bloodlines too, so that
could
also be it.
Yes, it is. It is bloodlines. You could also be the first.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's
wild magic too.
Yeah. Like it's just like you could like like you could just be random. But with warlocks, it's all about the pact. It's all about the deal that you make with whatever the magical thing is. So like all of the examples I feel like the book leans you towards is usually like some type of like god, devil, like like that type of thing, or like
you have archfays, you have the fiends, which are like you said, devils, demons, things like that.
But it could be
great old ones. The most notable is Cthulhu. So he's a great old one. There's also like Uk'otoa and stuff like that. But you can also with we mentioned it before. Sorry, I love warlocks. They're my favorite class. Xanathar's Guide to Everything. They have the Hexblade Warlock too, so you get like a magical weapon that's given to you. But in my character's case, he was already magically innate, and this was more of a what if I give you this magic tattoo and bind you to a god without really telling you that's what it is, and we'll see what happens because I'm a mad scientist.
And I'm just imagining like when he finally discovers it, like it is in full warlock, just like the hair falls over half of his face, and he's like, lame.
God. No.
I'm so sorry.
I do that with your own character, but it's also dirty like that.
I'm so sorry. But I want to I want to say like, but to your point, like it's all about the pact. Like it could be with a genie, it could be with one I read about that I really enjoyed was a sentient weapon. You find a sentient weapon like somewhere, and it like that's who your pact is with. So if you go like Hexblade, like your pact is your magic weapon.
Yes.
And so like that's a very interesting one. It could be any like number of things. Like you got stabbed by a unicorn and he asked if you wanted to live. Like okay. Like,
and the other one I really want to explore sometime and look more into is the one in Xanathar's. It's the Celestial. So like you actually make a connection with like a being from like the upper planes. So that's where you would make the pact with the unicorn or Kirin or something like that. So it's a more benevolent pact than all the others because the others are pretty sinister. So but yeah, I think that'd be a really fun experience because like I said, it's with a Celestial. So it's actually a healing warlock for once.
I'm actually a healing warlock sounds really cool, but I'm also wondering like what a celestial patron would be like. Just kind of show up and just really be like snooty about everything. Like, oh yeah, this is pretty good for a mortal place.
For mortals.
Yeah, like this is this is pretty cool. Like if you like that sort of thing. So just very like douchey and like yeah, I live in heaven, no biggie.
No biggie. I have a halo.
Yeah.
Pretty sick.
Like the god that pretty much made everything. Like he didn't kick us out, so ooh, awkward. Just wanna. It's weird, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so but otherwise you're doing great. I brought you some cookies, and.
Or just for your consideration, a warlock with a celestial pact that is just as emo and brooding, and is like, man, I hate this.
Oh, I love
It
it.
made me, I always want to do that.
Why did you agree to the pact? My fucking parents don't understand me?
My mom's a cleric of, Lathander and all these nice. My dad is a really cool sorcerer who heals things, but no, they wouldn't let me make a pact with Baphomet.
And then he's sitting there like just like underage smoking a cigarette, like fucking make me wear this fucking glitter shirt. I don't even like fucking glitter. They can't make me not wear my hair the way I want to. They fuck you. It's my expression.
Whatnot, I guess.
Do you wear a spiky bracelet because it helps you in battle? No, it's a statement about society.
It's a statement. Jesus Christ. Oh my God.
It's not functional, but
it's a metaphor. Jeez.
You don't fucking get it because you just like fucking fuck off.
Oh my God. All right.
Yeah, no, that would be the most fun character clearly to play with. But that's another thing. Like I think we've mentioned a few times. Like if you're not sure what you want to do, it doesn't have to be totally original. Like maybe there's something you've always wanted to play as. Like especially for a one shot. Like dude, like I don't know. Make an awkward character from your favorite show and just be that person. Like, and I think in some ways, if you're a fan of something, it might help you embody it a little easier if it's your first time.
Sure. Oh yeah,
sure.
Yeah, like just as an idea out there. I know obviously Bagels is 100% original and had no inspiration for Russell Crowe or Will Wheaton.
It fucking gets me every time.
And those are 100% original characters. But then maybe you have people like myself who got their. I'll get character names from a movie, but maybe I'll base them on someone else that I'm a fan of. Like even earlier with Beverly, I think I mentioned like when I imagine his voice, like I just try to think Vincent Price thoughts in my head whenever I prepare to speak as old Bevs. But yeah, so it's I think there are different things that you can use because honestly, like I think one thing that's definitely fun to point out is like this is a tabletop game. And at the end of the day, like one of the people you're entertaining is yourself. Mm-hmm. So like it's like creativity you get to play out, but it's just very rewarding. I think I really can't do justice about like how much fun it is to like sit there and like create the character and then get to like act out what they would do in these random scenarios that are thrown at you. It's pretty rewarding because I think to Bagel's point earlier, it's definitely more fun than just having a stock character given to you, like a la an RPG. And like, take it from me, we loves us some RPGs. Mm-hmm. We should do a Bagels. You're not as familiar with the Final Fantasy, but you're familiar with the Mass Effect?
Oh yeah. I'm extremely familiar with Mass Effect.
Yo, Scribe. Add that to the off-topic. Like, sorry.
Hey, on the same vein as BioWare, Dragon Age. That's my domain.
Yeah,
Dragon Age? I love Dragon Age too.
I love Dragon Age.
I was playing. So speaking of like RPGs, I was playing. My friends got me to do the free trial of Final Fantasy XIV, and I'm having fun with the free trial. I don't think I could do an MMO like hardcore investment again, but like the main story of like the free trial, because it's like the 2.0 plus the first expansion storyline, like it's fun, but there are these characters called the Crystal Braid, like it's a company you form, and I was like, so these guys are basically exactly like Dragon Age Inquisition but without anyone's permission to do anything.
Oh my god.
They were just doing it. Like nobody said yeah. Like they didn't ask. They were like, "Hey, we're doing this. Do you want to help?" Like, "Oh shit." I really enjoyed that. What was your well, I guess this is an interesting question, and it might help to ask like what type of campaigns you like to do. What's the I know the answer for you, Bagels. it's level 6. What's the highest level you've gotten to? Because like it's sort of like a round out. I think for like character creation, how far you should envision something can totally do with where the campaign takes place and how long you're really going to be invested into it. So I would say like probably for a long campaign you typically start at level 1, but like maybe for your one shot you start out at level like 3 or 5 or something like that. So it's very fun to sort of picture where your character is, but like the cap level is 20. By the time you're 20, I'm pretty sure you can like go punch a god and get away with it.
Yeah, depends on like, the story, of course, but yeah,
it's like
you could punch a god and get away with it.
You're like stupid powerful, like, and I mean like Goku levels insane. So not in my experience, excuse me, not too many campaigns actually make it that far. But when you guys play your Dragon Ages, do you like the earlier Dragon Ages or do you like the Inquisition sort of Dragon Age? And even Inquisition, you can split into two parts where like you're making like big decisions, or do you like sort of the dealing with more local stuff, sort of figuring out more immersive maybe in each setting? Because I feel like that's one thing Inquisition sort of lost on you, is that you didn't really get into a lot of the nitty gritty because you're making like,
that's fair,
you're making like world decisions, so anyone that talks to you like knows that like, oh shit, yeah, this guy could just take over the country, and we already said he could. So yeah, okay. I'm going to treat you maybe a little differently.
The city's capital, and I'll just give you this. Are you talking about like in a more D&D setting, or
yeah, that's what I mean. Like using that as sort of like a juxtaposition. So it just because I feel like Bagels can have a little more input in this as well, having played those games. Do you sort of like the big decisions, or do you like the more like low level nitty gritty, like interpersonal standpoints to play your character from? That's how.
Sure. I guess personally, I'm all about the character relations in those games, and similarly, the grand stuff comes eventually. That's always been my approach to games, and I think to D&D so far as well. I try to get immersed in the moment and what's going on around me, and just try and interact with the characters that are nearby and how they're developed. That's what I find immersive about these sorts of activities. It's just those individual relationships between the characters that I really value. Particularly, not to devalue the grand scale stuff as well, because that can be fun. Just when you're at that final point, you're fully leveled up, and you're like, oh man, touch now sort of thing. But that can be fun as well. But I guess personally, I'm more about just how your interactions with both the player characters in D&D go, and how your interactions with the NPCs evolve the world around you. That's kind of my thought process.
I can dig that. I really kind of appreciate that viewpoint too, because I feel like you can have a lot more fun when you're not important in D&D, especially, or maybe a different kind of fun. You can have a lot of different kind of fun if your character's doesn't have like huge renown. People treat you differently, and it's definitely like a fun place to come from. But yeah, I think I agree with that. What about you, Grace? I know like I've only DM'd a couple things in my time. Like I'm sure you have more experience than me in that at this point. As someone who's done the world crafting, which do you find more fun, or not more fun, but like which do you prefer? I guess.
I would probably kind of side with Bagels here. While I love being a higher level, and it is kind of fun to have like your adventuring party like recognizable, or I mean, our DM doesn't really lean too heavily into that. He like doesn't have NPCs running up to us like, oh my god, fuzzy bunnies, help us. And yes, that is our adventuring group name. I love it, and I will defend it with until my final breath. But I like that our DM doesn't lean into that aspect, because I feel like it gets really awkward. Like, oh my god, you're this group. We know your names. We know what you've done. Hooray. it's nice to just still be, someone who's able to affect the world from, an outside perspective. Like, while we have literally stopped a war and, rescued one of our party members' families from being under a kind of nasty interaction with an archfey, our Mir's current patron, and things like that. Like, I really do like, no matter how high of a level you are, not being this like super important force in the same time. Like, while you're able to help others because you're more powerful and be more influential, I still like being able to kind of be the bystander and experience, what's going on in the world. Like, most recently, the king, the had been the stand-in king, basically said that, he's gonna get rid of the monarchy. It's gonna be a democracy. We're gonna tell you what to do, things like that. And instead of standing up next to him while he was on his, balcony giving this big speech, we were in the crowd with all the other NPCs. So, we were just as important as the people were, and that's kind of important to me as well. And I don't know, as a DM with the campaign that I was running, I had my students joining an organization, so they were becoming a part of something bigger that they didn't even know existed prior. So, it's things like that I like that. I feel like, an experience in a more one-player campaign, like you said, as juxtaposition for like Inquisition, you're one single person. You're not working with any other real people. You're working with NPCs and politics, and that kind of stuff exists in D&D as well. But you're not collaborating with anybody. You are the one person playing, while D&D is more of a, you're teamed up with at least 2 or 3 other people at the least. So I don't know. I've rambled a lot about this, but I do think that I prefer still being seen as just another person rather than being the all-important saviors of the world sort of thing. So
yeah, I think it's I think there's a nice balance between being courted, like when someone's like, no, like, I heard very good because I looked specifically into what I'm hiring you for, as opposed to the sort of I don't know, maybe a total balance of people running up to you in the street like you're a celebrity. But I guess, like, maybe if that's contained to one region, to like one part of the world where you're famous, maybe that can be a lot of fun.
Sure.
Like,
actually, in our campaign, because one of our players is a princess of a country.
Oh,
I love it.
Visited.
I
So
love it. Is
like,
it Shinovia?
No, it's Ferenchao. It's fantasy French.
I love it.
Or fantasy France. So it's Ferenchao.
I love it.
But yeah, so in that case, it was really cool because, but for the character, it's not necessarily the setting. I don't think she would prefer, but I won't speak for Tam, because that is her narrative, not mine. So, and I really respect that. So
I can dig it. Well, yeah, I think this is a good place to pause. If you still don't want to play D&D, I think we've convinced you it's not for you at this point. And and if you think it's something you want to explore, Grace, how can people find out more about you? Because you're not just a teacher. If you haven't heard her other guest spot on our show, she is a great artiste. She can and teaches.
Artist.
Yeah. And so how can any new fans you may have made find you?
My main Twitter, where I do everything but art, where it's rambling about original characters, D&D, and posting screenshots from playing games and everything. That is Night Stalker. So if you know the Destiny class, that's how you spell it. It has 3 eyes in it. So it's like Night Stalker. My art account is linked in the bio. It is Lizard Draws. So there's 2 eyes and 2 Ds. On that account, my main is also linked. And there's also a link tree on my art account that will take you to things like my tip jar and my website. There's a link to like my Steam account, my print shop, because I got some prints up now, and just a bunch of other things. I also have some really goofy t-shirts up too.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, it's just those 2 spots. But on my art account. You can find literally every other social I've got on that link tree. So
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for being our guest. Do you have any shout outs that you would like to shout out?
Yeah, I'm gonna shout out the Fuzzy Bunnies. So
Nice.
Always, I will shout out the Fuzzy Bunnies. So Tam, Macy, Trenton Barclay are on Twitter, and Disco or Betsy. They're all wonderful. I am so fortunate to be a part of the campaign that I'm in currently because we've been going for literally a year and a half now. So it's definitely been like some of the best moments of my life being on that campaign. I want to shout out the Termino project run by Isacole, because I'm a voice actor for that. We are doing a behind the scenes stream soon. I know the date. It's not public yet, so I can't share it, but I will definitely be retweeting it. So if you follow my socials, you'll see it. Let's see. I'm also a part of the Wayward Destiny story. So if you search Wayward Destiny, you'll find it. I'm a side character for it. I'm a ghost for one of the main characters, and one of the other voice actors is running a another campaign that I will be a part of. I'm doing all the character art and the tokens for it currently. That will be starting on Sunday, October 4th. I don't know the exact time yet, but I believe it's like 2:00 EST because he is in the UK. But yes, so I will be playing a monk. That's all you get to know publicly because my party members don't know any other details yet. So I'm trying to keep him as mysterious as possible. His name is Crash Tempest.
I really hope he hates trees.
Yeah, I'll tell you more about him after this, so you'll love him.
I'm like, fuck you, tree. Fuck you, tree.
He sounds like Crash Tempest is his name.
I love it.
So.
Oh, maybe he hates snow.
He's actually resistant to cold.
See?
Oh,
he sees condensed water and he just gets fucking mad.
Fucking hate that. Can't get my bolt through that.
That's amazing. Bagels, do you have any shout outs, Buckaroo?
Well, I'm going to shout out to our D&D crew. Unfortunately, we don't have any cool names like bunnies.
We should come up with something. The name I was gonna give my character Thomas's sword was the red Serena, because it's a rapier, so he stabs people and just leaves the red mark like a little flower. But we could use that. I'm just putting it out there. It's not officially on the sword yet, but we do leave a lot of blood everywhere.
We do, especially those werejackals.
Oh, dude, we cleared out just a whole forest, generations of werejackals dead.
Oh my god!
And we did it because we didn't have anything else to do, and we remembered there were werejackals and they were dicks. So we just went back and killed them. Some Lamia showed up, like, all right, guess you gotta go too, because you're with them. So, and then, yeah, it was a whole thing.
It was quite the experience.
Yeah, no.
I can imagine.
No, like, seriously, we leveled up a couple times. It was that many werejackals.
But yeah, the crew is Don, Snuggle, Taylor, and myself, of course, and then our DM Chris. You guys are awesome, and especially Chris for putting together our campaigns. And yeah, it's been fun. So my shout outs to those guys, and yeah. How about you, Taylor?
My shout outs are going to be I'm gonna shout out to like D&D5e, anyone who like picks up the game, DMs with their friends, all the people trying to create some escape for their little tight-knit groups, their little parties, through imagination and tabletop and shared creativity. My shout outs to you guys, because honestly, like Chris, people like Grace, who are out there giving these opportunities, because I mean, I don't know if you guys know this, but like D&D, especially like remote apps like Roll20, Forge, like what have you, have really like exploded during COVID, because people really missed that part of the interaction, much like your students did, like you were telling us earlier. So my shout outs to everyone. creating those world, all the DMs or GMs, depending on how you say it, which cut you take out there. My shout outs to you guys. Thank you. I've done it once or twice, but I don't have the patience for it, so I appreciate you. And with that, please stay safe. Please tune in to us next week. So and future weeks. So this is a whole stay safe plan request. Just mark the meeting in your calendar and just set it to indefinite. Stay safe. And we'll catch you next time. Bye.
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 That's the end of this week's topic, but be sure to check out our past and future episodes on Spotify, iTunes, and Podbean. If you have any questions about this week's topic, want to discuss Destiny lore with us, or if you just feel like reaching out to us, you can find us on Twitter at Spinfoil Theory, or you can email us via spinfoiltheory@gmail.com. Thanks for listening!